Oh yeah.
That's fine.
Okay, good.
I'm Kenny.
I'm Joe.
I'm Larry.
That's a good call.
1, 2, 1, 2, 3.
Bob Wills sound when he had his biggest bands, and the Spade Cooley sound with the harmony and unison fiddles together, and they understand the tradition. Our fiddlers do, the Time Jumpers fiddlers do. They grew up in the tradition, they feel it, and they're masters of their instruments, so they're able to capture it perfectly. Whether the song is new or old, they jump in, and within 2 minutes they have their parts down, and you have the perfect harmony fiddle sound that's absolutely classic Western swing, a wonderful, rich American fiddle tradition and American music tradition. Whether the song's new or old, it's got that classic sound.
Red-nosed Spanish now is swishing flies, and the Navajo watched the lazy skies. Very rarely did they ever rest their eyes on the people passing.
I think the fiddlers and the time jumpers are the most essential part of the band. You know, they give it its real flavor for Western swing. You know, the guitars, the steel, all those other instruments can play Western swing, but it's really the fiddles that are the most identifiable, I think, with Western swing, especially from the Wills era.
The fly sings an Indian hidey-ho to the people passing by. Hot brother Paul.
I know the first time I heard this band before I joined it, I came out to hear the fiddles, you know, because you just don't get to hear 3 fiddles. I mean, occasionally 2 fiddles, but never 3, and these guys are just amazing. Well, here's the thing. You can take 3 fiddle players and put them together. That doesn't mean you're going to have a fiddle section. You know, you may have great soloists, but when it comes time to play together, these 3 guys have the unique quality of give and take. You know, one comes up with an idea, they immediately surrender their unique styles into that arrangement, whatever part that is. Yet when it comes time to solo, they become completely individuals and bring a unique spirit to the band. It's really fun to hear those guys play.
One day they went walking along the railroad track. They were swishing, not looking, but they never came back. Across the alley from the Alamo, when the summer sun decides to set low, the fly sings an Indian hidey-ho to the people passing by.
Me and Larry were in those contests when we were a kid, and kids, and I'll just tell you, he used to wear me out, because they would always put us in a tie. Always. Whether we needed to be or not, they'd put us in a tie for the entertainment of it, I'm sure.
Keep the crowd, you know.
And yeah, and sometimes 8 or 10 playoffs. I'd be out behind the stage trying to learn a new song while he was on.
Yeah, and sometimes they say, okay, this time you got to play a Shottas. Or this time you got to play a waltz, or this time you got to play a rag. And we're like, I don't know a Shottas. I don't know. I'm going to have to go learn one right quick.
We were doing that. It was funny in those days.
Yeah, it was fun though. Yeah.
And I think it's wonderful now that we hear 50 years later, I shouldn't say that, but it is. 50 years later, we get to work together instead of against each other, and that just tickles me to death.
Yeah, now the challenge is, how good can I make him sound? How good can he make me sound?
Yeah,
how good
absolutely.
can we make each other
And I like that.
sound? And
a
it's
lot better.
complimenting each other. It's not a competition. And so,
Yeah.
you know, we're constantly trying to figure out ways to make three fiddles sound good together or sound better than they already do, because they sound good.
I woke up this morning, I couldn't hardly move.
The three fiddlers in the Time Jumpers are Kenny Sears, Joe Spivey, and Larry Franklin. Kenny Sears is Oklahoma born, as I am. We have a lot of the same likes, you know, in the music that we like. I think largely because of where we come from. And Kenny is what I would deem a really great straight-ahead country fiddle player.
Everybody told me that I didn't go with her, and I did.
I love the fact that we have three fiddles in the Time Jumpers. Three fiddles is the perfect number, actually, harmonically. I've been fortunate through my career to work with a lot of different fiddle sections. 2 sections with the Cherokee Cowboys, and gosh, I don't know, 6 or 8 different fiddle sections with the Statesiders. When I was a teenager, I got my education from some of the older players that actually played that music back in the day when it was popular. I'm talking about Dale Potter and Bobby Creighton and Keith Coleman, those guys that I was fortunate enough to be able to learn from how to play in a fiddle section. In a fiddle section, you either all sound good or you all sound bad. There can't be any stars in an ensemble like that. And with Larry and Joe, that's exactly what we have. We're all playing for the good of the whole.
We want to do what Bob Wills and Spade Cooley and bands like that would do if they were starting out today. Write new songs, and even if we do a cover song, we do a new arrangement. We don't try to emulate what Wills or Spade did years ago. Not that that isn't fantastic. We want to be our own personalities within the music.
When my baby left me, thought that I would die, but I didn't. Everybody told me that I didn't go with her, but I didn't.
You know, when I wrote Nothing But the Blues that's on the CD, I wasn't thinking commercial at all. I was just thinking about writing something for the Time Jumpers. What was fun for me was to write something that sounds like it was written in the past, something we can play in the present and see what happens to it in the future. Who knows?
It ain't nothing but the blues.
Somewhere on the road, I know we ran across each other. You know.
It was probably in the 70s or 80s, I imagine.
Yeah,
would
we've
say
been
the
aware of
80s.
each other for
Yeah. We all been kind of swirling around the same, you know, places. You know, different.
Well, I started
times.
hearing Joe on the radio playing on John Anderson's big hits, and it was like, wow, play that again.
Yeah.
I like that intro.
Yeah.
He played great stuff.
Joe Spivey, a little more of a southern guy, I think from Louisiana originally, and he's really, they're all so very different stylistically when they play separately.
just the body of work that everybody's done to get here. It's been pretty impressive.
Well, it's a broad spectrum. If you think about all the different things you've been involved with recording-wise in your career, take into account mine, Kenny, he's that plus a lot of arranging, string arranging, straight up arranging like, you know, hen scratch on paper. People have to, you know. So we've got that all the way through the Texas tradition, you know, just the whole deal. It's amazing how much is represented with just 3 people.
Joe's school is a little bit jazzier, has a little more almost of a sense of humor to the way he plays. Great double stops that Joe plays with.
Playing triple fiddles with the time jumpers. It's a wonderful thing. I'm the second part guy. That's how we had to get all this straightened out. Kenny Sears, he's first part. I'm second part. Larry Franklin's third part. The feeling you get when you get on the stage and you count that first song off, within the first 2 bars of the very first song, if you're road weary, it's done with. You're fine. If something is pretty much got your mind clouded, has nothing to do with the business, you know, other stuff that happens to us, you know. It's real hard to keep a clean slate up here all the time because life comes, like that commercial said, life comes at you fast, you know. Stuff happens. And with me, when we count it off and we start swinging, I know for the next 2 hours, everything's just fine. Everything's cool.
That's called Minor Thing. That's written by Joe Spivey.
Every once in a while we get caught listening.
I did that last night.
I'm guilty. I owe a lot of money. I need to buy a lot of tickets.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. What Larry's
You know,
talking
when you're
about
not playing, you get caught listening sometimes.
Yeah.
But, you know, it's just.
what Larry's talking about is last night I was so involved in Paul Franklin's steel guitar solo that suddenly it was our time to play, and I heard the fiddles. Oh, wait a minute! I'm supposed to be playing. I forgot that I wasn't in the audience.
Man. I have to watch that very much because I mean, when someone else is soloing, we naturally turn in their direction to soak in what they're doing. But you got to watch it. You'll get caught up. You'll get caught up, and all of a sudden, it's like Kenny said, "Oh, uh-oh, uh-oh, I'm supposed to be playing now."
Yeah, we're not looking at charts.
No,
that's
no.
another thing that's what's nice. It'd been a long time since I'd been in a playing situation where I didn't have to look at a chart and okay, there's my part coming. I'm zeroed in on this music stand. This way, we're looking around, enjoying everything, and that's part of getting back to the way it was supposed to be.
Yeah.
Playing music and not being too uptight, and just letting it out. I come from a long line of fiddle players. My dad, Louis, great fiddle player, and my great uncle Major Franklin was a great fiddle player, and my great grandfather was a fiddle player. And the opportunity to get to play in a fiddle section with 3 world-class fiddle players, I know I'm living one of my dad's dreams here.
When Larry gets through playing a fiddle tune, I don't want to hear about nobody else messing with it, you know, because he's got her down.
Larry Franklin is really probably maybe the most steeped in the real Bob Wills Western swing world. He's a Texas guy, played with the Sleep at the Wheel for a long time, and he has a long history of being a part of that music, and he really gives us that bounce that real Western swing has. And but it's just a real gift to get to be around so many musicians that are that gifted, and especially 3 fiddle players that could all easily stand on their own and play circles around most people, but when they share the common goal of playing for and with each other, the sound is pretty awe-inspiring.
This is something that is such a unique experience for everybody to get to hear it. You go back in time. You feel like you're back in the 50s. This is honky-tonk music, swinging, partying, dance music. This is the way it's supposed to be. This is the way they did it when it was done right.